the U.S. federal government's fiscal year is different from a calendar year. It runs October 1st through September 30th every year. So use it or lose it refers to the rush of spending that happens at the end of the fiscal year. So agencies are given budgets that last for that fiscal year, and if they haven't used all their allocated funds by September 30th, in many cases those funds, they expire or they go back to the Treasury. So the government shuts down, then government contracting basically shuts down. So like your contracting officers, those kind of people, they're technically not working.
Okay, Sarah, so today we're going to be talking about interesting facts about the government budget cycle, which as of today, as of our recording, it's September 30th, right? Ends today, right? So what do people not know about the calendar year with the fiscal cycle? Because it's a little different than the traditional calendar that people use, right?
Yeah. It doesn't use the normal calendar year, the January to December. The U.S. federal government's fiscal year is different from a calendar year. It runs October 1st through September 30th every year. So basically, this fiscal year started October 1st, 2024, and ends today, September 30th, 2025.
Gotcha. Okay, got it. That makes perfect sense. And what's this like use it or lose it policy that they got going on here at what at the end of the year? Like what does that entail?
So use it or lose it refers to the rush of spending that happens at the end of the fiscal year. So agencies are given budgets that last for that fiscal year, and if they haven't used all their allocated funds by September 30th, in many cases those funds, they expire or they go back to the Treasury. So they don't want to underspend, right, and not get their needs met when they could have. So they don't know what their budget looks like for next year. Congress could cut budget, right? So it creates a really big incentive to spend every dollar before the deadline.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, 100%. And if they don't spend it, do they, I mean, I know you just said it, right? But do they risk getting smaller budgets next year, correct?
Yeah, that's possible, right? I mean, everybody who budgets looks at what did you spend, so what did you need? But they submit a budget, but mostly like they don't know what that budget's going to look like. Even if they submit an ideal budget, it might not even if they use it all, they might not get the same budget the next year, right?
Gotcha.
So basically, they really just try to accelerate contract awards and purchases in the final quarter. It's been a very busy final quarter this year. To give you kind of an idea of the scale of that, fiscal year 2023, the July to September quarter, the fourth quarter, right, was 33% of the year's total spending, and September alone was 16% of the year's total spending, right? So like 33% in 25% of the time it just kind of, with that September getting really crammed in there.
Gotcha. So this is like Black Friday but for the government.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we estimated that about 20% of government contracting happens in that final month of the fiscal year. I'm going to keep saying fiscal year so that people don't confuse it with calendar year.
No, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we'll put a little note here on the side of the fiscal year that just happened. Mm-hmm. And I also hear this term contracting Christmas, right? And from what I understand, like it's something that happens in September. Like, can you walk us through what does that entail?
I think it's like that. Like you said, it's kind of like the Black Friday frenzy, right? Or contracting Christmas is it's kind of a funny term, but basically because that September is that sort of normal December, especially that final week of September. It's like last minute contract awards, right? Gift bonanza for all the companies waiting to see if their contracts get awarded. And we have been getting award notifications a couple a day for the last week, I would say, for real.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And we put here in the notes that you said that in 1 year, they spent $8 billion in the first week of September, right? And then $53 billion in the last week. Is that like some of the data we've seen from previous years?
I believe that was 2023. But yes, it was 2023's budget.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's
a lot.
That's just federal spending. Yeah. And I think it's going to be a lot this year too. And next year is going to be even more, right? So.
No, absolutely. So switching gears now to, more about the budget cycle that now starts way earlier than people think, right? Like how should companies now start thinking about the fiscal year 2026?
So agencies start looking at their budgets almost 2 years before the fiscal year begins. And so the one that's about to come, right? The 2025 to 26 year, that was started 2 years ago, or that sort of budget planning. And then, then the presidents and all of the people get involved in sort of that budget. But they're planning, they've been putting out pre-RFPs, they've been putting out, the government's been putting out information. And so companies should be also sort of doing the same thing, like not just planning for like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next month, but like kind of looking ahead, like at least 2 years, kind of understanding what that budget cycle looks like and sort of mimicking it with your own, if that makes any sense. And, paying attention to all those pre-solicitations, all of those, industry contracting things, finding out what those pipelines look like about 18 to 24 months in advance if you can.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And there's also this thing called the president's budget, right?
Yes.
So is what the president, obviously he has his agenda and whatnot, right? Is that final word, or is that something that's more of like I want this?
It's like his own Christmas list, or their own Christmas list if one day we have a woman as a president. But it's just a proposal. So sometimes we see headlines, oh, the president's budget request, it's a big document. And then, they go through it. Congress controls the purse strings, right? Technically.
Yep.
And they authorize the spending constitutionally. So the president's budget does not have law like on its own, right? It doesn't, but like the president really wanted this Golden Dome project that you might see, and Congress approved it. So, so some things on the wish list go through and some things don't, right?
Gotcha. Okay. And why should obviously, like, getting back to the business side of things, right? Why should contractors care?
Well, timing is really important if you're a government contractor, right? Q4 is peak buying season. So, it kind of depends on what kind of government contracting that you really do. But there's a lot of procurement that happens in Q4. So you want all of your resources ready. You want everybody, you want your proposal teams lined up. You want your SMEs lined up. You want everybody ready to knock these things out, right? Like you want, if you think you're going to win a contract, you need to be ready to spin that up because it's probably coming right at the end of Q4 if you hadn't seen it yet, right? So planning and timing. I guess, I mean, it would not be the time to be like, you know what, we're going to cut our staff.
Yeah.
Q4 guys. I mean, obviously if you have to.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. So how does SAS GPS help people win Q4 then? Because I know obviously you guys have been incredibly busy, right? But how do you guys help in this clutch moment of the year?
So I guess we help people write and manage proposals. We help people understand and track their pipelines. And we help people get resourced up for Q4. We are part of the resource of being ready for Q4. So really that's sort of, what we do. So Q4 for us is incredibly busy. Now, one of the things that we do is we pipeline ourselves as well, right? So we have companies that we work for on a regular basis. And then we have areas where we know that we do really well, right? We have a couple of really, really productive, high winning teams in construction, janitorial, operations and maintenance, right? Some IT, especially things around NASA and some of those programs. And with those companies, we work on a first come first serve basis, right? So we don't we won't write two solicitations that would run against each other, for instance. Right. Our client, we have one singular focus. So we encourage everybody to sort of track those forecasts that they're coming, contact us in advance, especially if if it's going to be coming in Q4, and have us onboarded as your resource already, because there's people finding right now that oh my gosh, this last month they needed help and nobody's available to help because all of the contracting resources like us are booked, right? Or we're booked on the same solicitations. So we help everybody, and you can help yourself by getting us to help you earlier.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is an incredibly busy time for you guys. So the quicker the decision-making process can happen for these businesses, the most likely you guys will be able to work with them and whatnot. All right. So just a quick recap here. Obviously, the fiscal year, October to September, use it or lose it. Companies and want to know that, the government wants to spend, and if not, potentially their budgets could get smaller. Contacting Christmas, like I said, there's a lot of companies this time of year who get billion-dollar contracts because the government has to get rid of it, right? And again, just keeping in mind that you definitely want to reach out to us at this time. This would be like the best month for you guys to talk to somebody like SAS GPS for sure, right? And just go ahead, yeah.
Like, if you know the quirks of the government budget cycle, then you can play the game of government contracting better.
Yep.
Track your forecasts, attend your industry days, and make sure that you are on the right contracting vehicles. And if those contracting vehicles are coming up, or MAC contracts are coming up, make sure that you get on them, because that's going to affect your pipeline over the next couple of years, right? And what you're available to do. Yeah.
100%, right? And we'll see, because like as of right now, as of today of recording this, right, the government is headed to a shutdown. What happens in the government contracting space, right, if there is a government shutdown?
So the government shuts down, then government contracting basically shuts down. So like your contracting officers, those kind of people, they're technically not working then. Now, that doesn't mean that everything in the government shuts down. Obviously, you see police, and there are certain things that have to happen just to keep life, liberty,
right,
people alive, people safe,
yeah.
Will continue to function, but you won't see a lot of contracts. You're not going to see any contracts come out during a government shutdown. And we have seen a lot of the contracts that were due kind of in this next little window being extended in the last few days. Like today, we had several extensions that are due tomorrow normally, and then they got moved back 15, 20 days in some cases, and that may be also preparation for the government not working. So it's hard for them to collect solicitations. It's certainly hard for them to put out solicitations, but it's not a break. It just means that you can make an even better proposal.
Yeah. Absolutely, always with the pivot. I love it. All right, my friend. Well, if there's anything that comes up, and we'll keep you guys informed. Again, thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe to the channel. We've been getting a lot of good feedback from everybody. Liking the information and just learning a lot. And also, like, to all of our clients, we hope we keep crushing it for you guys. Yep.
Have a good next government.
Yeah, I'll see you next year ish.
Next year.
All right, bye, Sarah.
Bye.